All right, awesome. Well, Matt, thank you and welcome to my episode back from maternity leave. Thanks for kicking it off with me.
Glad to be here, Brooke. Should be a
So
good conversation.
it sure will be. So you're a VP of Sales at Staffing Engine. Before we kick it off, can you, give us a brief introduction to yourself, your background in the staffing industry, and Staffing Engine?
Yes, so I have been a supplier to the staffing and recruiting industry for a little over 10 years now. Spent my first 9 years at Bullhorn working a variety of different sales roles from early stage, small, mid-sized businesses to mid-market to field and national accounts, everywhere from the East Coast to the West Coast and in between. Staffing Engine was actually started by the CEO, CMO, and CTO of TextUs, as well as Jay Cutler, who's the fourth founder. And me and Jay got to know each other at Bullhorn. And Ted and the team really brought SMS and text messaging into the staffing and recruiting space and did a very good job of that. And then after they left TextUs, Ted was really looking for the next big thing and landed on conversational AI and AI in staffing and recruiting, which was still very early on, about 3-4 years ago. But now it's sort of just exploding now that it's in the mainstream. So Ted's a pretty forward-thinking guy, and he hit the nail on the head with SMS, and it looks like conversational AI is moving in that direction as well. So that's a little bit about us. And then he brought me over after many successful years at Bullhorn to start our sales team here at Staffing Engine. I was employee number 6. Now I think we're up to 13 or I think 14 internal employees. We've got some product advisors who have been in the industry a long time. So it's been fun so far.
So I have a staffing industry veteran in front of me, if you will.
If you want to call me a staffing industry veteran, I'll roll with it.
I love it. Perfect. So let's get into the conversation about AI. Then I come back and this is just like topic of conversation. I feel like I don't leave a meeting without it being brought up nowadays. So how is AI being used in the staffing industry today? Maybe you can tell me some examples of like successful implementations as well.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because we've been having lots of conversations with lots of staffing industry executive teams, and there's no doubt that AI has entered the conversation at the executive level and in boardrooms with agencies trying to get their arms wrapped around it. And, in full disclosure, it is still, while it's been around for a while, the application of it is still relatively new, and people are kind of learning as they go. And so I think that it's growing so rapidly that there's literally a new use case every day if you read blogs and that sort of thing. Yeah. In staffing and recruiting, there's a lot of different applications. Companies like Dichter and Textkernel were pretty early on with applying it to external candidate search and searching for great candidates. There's a really great use case for AI matching as well, which is basically looking at a lot of data across candidates and job orders and matching the best possible candidates to the best jobs and vice versa. It's been really fun to watch that segment grow, and I think that's just going to keep on getting better and better. There's examples like, what Staffing Engine provides, which are AI digital assistants and chatbots that can help with instant qualification, pre-screening, routing candidates as well as client leads to the appropriate individual or team of individuals, all with the goal of making recruiters more productive and profitable while also enriching the candidate and client experience.
Two of the, I would argue, like the biggest pain points for agencies nowadays.
Yes, yeah, exactly. There's so many applicants, and it's so hard for staffing agencies to respond quickly to them. We were on a call with one of the top 5 agencies here in North America. They get, hundreds of thousands of applicants a week. And they want to provide an instant experience and provide that candidate with a great experience. But the reality is that even if they're qualified, they might not hear back for a couple of days after they apply. And if they're not qualified, they might never hear back. And that's not a very good experience. We all know that just because a candidate's not qualified today for a job you have, they might be in the future. But if you don't provide a good experience, they ain't going to come back to you. So, uh,
100%.
so it's really important that agencies, allow for quick response. And it's not only just for job applications either. A lot of candidates will come in with questions around, benefits, time cards. And during COVID, we saw a lot of in travel nursing. Can I work with a friend or two? Travel duos, and those are the kind of questions that fill up a recruiter's day, having to respond back to. And AI is a really great use case to help with deflection of those questions, so that recruiters can stay on topic and really focus on relationship building, which I'm sure we're going to talk about later.
1,000%. So why don't you move on and then tell me some benefits of the using AI in staffing? Are there any challenges?
There are benefits and there's also challenges for sure. And so, like I mentioned, on the recruitment side, you want to help make your recruiters more productive and more profitable. I know this, sales and recruiting are very similar. Recruiting, I always say you're selling people. And I know in my day to day, I get overburdened with data management, task management, mundane and repetitive tasks that could be automated. And that's really a great use case for AI, is removing those, mundane, repetitive tasks in your day to day so that you can focus on having more conversations and better relationship building. On the candidate side, like I mentioned, we're all about finding ways to use AI to enrich the candidate and client experience. There was actually a Staffing Hub report that came out yesterday that I thought was very interesting around lead response times, and the fast growth, forward-thinking agencies are putting technology in place to ensure that they're able to provide a live on-demand experience or as close to it as possible. And really what that means is rapid follow-up, right? Like what is your time to respond? Like what is your speed to lead? And if it's over an hour, then you're taking too long. The candidate's already moved on and gone to apply at another agency website, versus if you're able to respond quickly, right away, help get them the information that they need, you're really providing a much stronger experience, and they're more likely to stay with you and want to work with you. Challenges in implementing AI technology. I think the biggest challenge is that right now in the staffing and recruiting industry, there's a lot of folks who say that they're providing AI solutions, but they're not actually AI solutions. They're sort of like scripted wizard, decision tree model, if and then statements where you've really got to almost like anticipate every question that they're going to ask ahead of time and respond. There are elements of that decision tree logic in any implementation, but true machine learning with natural language understanding, natural language processing helps a lot with that. And it really should marry the two together. And so I've heard of rocky implementations where you almost have to, I think the quote one of our clients used was build your own bots, and you have to almost do everything yourself. And there's a lot of challenges with deploying AI, and so we like to do the deployment on behalf of our customers, because can be challenging, and it's so critical as part of the candidate and client experience. You don't want that breaking down, because that's going to lead to bad brand reputation.
Sure. It's like first introductions, right? They leave an imprint, that's for sure.
Seriously.
So how can AI be used to improve the candidate experience during the candidate journey then, from attraction, retention, and redeploying?
Yeah, and there's definitely different applications of AI depending on where you're at in the recruitment process. starting at the top, like imagine a candidate or a client lands on your website, greeting them with AI, whether it's a digital assistant, chatbot, everyone has their own name for it. But the idea is that you immediately greet. It's the greeter at the front desk, right? It's just a virtual version of that. And you're figuring out what are they there for? Are they looking for jobs? Are they looking to hire? Do they have a question that you can help answer? Do they want to talk to a live human? Because we've all had those frustrating bot experiences where if it gets stuck because it hasn't been trained on something, we want a live human. And so AI can actually be used to figure out who they are and the right person to get them to so they can have a live human conversation. That's what I think AI is the best, is when it works hand in hand with a live human, and that you have a little bit of a human touch to go along with it. And that really doesn't, that greeter at the front desk helps get them to where they want to go. Don't put the onus on the candidate to know where to go. Help guide them where they want to. The item around deflecting frequently asked questions is a big one. That helps with instant gratification rather than having to send an email to an HR man or an HR person or recruiter to get information. Use AI to help give them the information that they're looking for. That also saves your own time as a recruiter. And then, we're starting to find more and more agencies asking about not only the candidate side, but the post-hire worker side. Once they've had that candidate experience on a website or on social media where they actually get to the job order, if the agency places them, once they're a worker and they go into a candidate-facing app like an Activate Staff, there's a lot of demand for that right now. They want to have the same experience post-hire as a worker that they do pre-hire as a candidate, and so as the agency, you want to make sure that you're giving them that same experience. And so layering AI into the post-hire experience to help them if they've got questions around credentials or time cards or pay stubs or any of that fun stuff also comes into play as well.
Yeah, don't lose them just because you're not giving them that experience, right? Save all that work you've done on the front end to keep them.
Especially if you're doing contract or temp work, just because you've placed them, there's still a lot of opportunity ahead to maintain and redeploy them. So just because you placed them once, don't forget about that post-hire worker experience. That's very critical as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because agencies, if you don't have, going back to what you said, the time before you reach out to them for that first interaction, you don't want them to fall into that black hole where they're just applying to 100 different agencies, because those agencies that they've applied to are probably reaching out to them with opportunities too while they're on placement with you. So
yeah, that's our mantra. It's something that we've all heard in sales and recruiting for a long time, that time kills all deals. And the longer that you keep a candidate or a client waiting, because it is on the client side too, customers and hiring managers demand fast response as well. And the longer that you keep them waiting, the more likely they are to go to one of your competitors. So it's very important and critical that we leverage AI to help mitigate that response time on both the candidate and client side.
100%. And then, you could have the best recruiter in the world, but at the end of the day, they're still human, right? There's only this amount of time in the day that they have to get this work done and reach out to all these people. So
100%.
What are the ethical considerations surrounding the use of AI?
Yeah, there's a lot. And I guess I'll lead with one story. We're all using ChatGPT now, or many of us are, or want to know how to use it. And there was an article that came out from Samsung that their workers were basically using ChatGPT to assist with code writing. But to help them assist with that, they were actually unknowingly putting proprietary code from Samsung into ChatGPT and training the model on confidential company information. So that confidential code was then out in the open, and then training other people on it. And so if you think about what that means for staffing and recruiting agencies, I guarantee that there have already been some folks who put sensitive candidate or job data into Chat GPT to help write a job description or boost a resume or something like that. And you've now trained Chat GPT on sensitive data that shouldn't be outside of your database. And so it's really like up to the staffing agencies to educate their recruiters and salespeople on like the proper way to prompt it and the proper way to get outputs without inputting sensitive data. One of the things that we're actively doing, and I'll share more on this later, but we're leveraging GPT through the ATS CRM APIs to pull out and accomplish different tasks like build a resume template or build a candidate submission. But that's just like a safe way to do it. A lot of folks, I'm sure, are going out to GPT, entering in data that shouldn't be there. Now it's public information. So that's one concern. I know you're probably going to ask me about bias in AI too, and that's another big thing. The idea is that machines should inherently have less bias and should therefore be safer and less risky than humans who have a lot of bias. However, the way that you train your AI can inherently be trained on a biased data source or by a human who has bias. And so I think that's going to be something that comes out more and more over the next couple of years, is how to reduce bias in AI. Because if you're training it on data sources that are essentially biased, there was a great Harvard Business Review article that it can actually train the AI to be malicious or to inject it with bias that then hurts downstream. And so that's definitely top of mind. And we have a lot of CIOs of agencies asking about that. And the more aggressive ones are telling their people, go find different ways to use AI. But we've already heard of conservative, leadership that's restricting or even putting a ban on using it until there's more information known. So
yeah,
it's
garbage in, garbage out, right?
kind of like the Wild West right now. It's because it's so early on, and even like OpenAI's CEO has come out and said like, "Hey, this is not ready for prime time. It's still an early stage product." And I think people like are putting in prompts and expecting that everything that it spits out to be the truth, but it's not. It's such a large model that it gets confused and supplies bad information sometimes. And so it's up to the end user to understand that and not take it for granted when it spits something out, and to really understand that it's a really good starting point, but it still needs to be massaged and edited before you just send it out to candidates or clients.
Yeah. I think also too, what I'm getting from this is like, you have to have a purpose in order to use the tool, and like know your purpose and understand it. Because if you are just using it to use it, like garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah, you got to have a purpose, and you have to understand the limitations and the risks behind it too. And I'd still encourage folks to use it. My sales team's using it, but you have to understand where where it slips and falls a little bit.
Yeah. So many people are scared of losing their jobs to AI. You and I know there's still a place for recruiters, but how might this change their roles? What do recruiters need to be thinking about?
They should be nervous about losing their jobs because I mean, people are coming out. I think I don't know. I think it was Microsoft that said that they expect a large number of back office jobs to be replaced by AI, and so I don't think recruiting and sales is very high human touch, at least historically. And so as a result of that, I don't think recruiters are in danger of losing their jobs anytime soon. However, we have some customers who I agree with who think that a recruiter is going to be replaced by a recruiter who really knows how to leverage AI. And so it needs to become a critical and essential part of your skill set, because a recruiter who understands how to use AI and leverage AI is going to be a lot more productive and efficient than someone who doesn't. And so, just as an example, we spend a lot of time in sales writing personalized emails. And, I wanted to figure out ways I could leverage Chat GPT to personalize my emails faster. And so if I were to go in and find out, say that you're a prospect of mine, and I see that Brooke enjoys golf, and I'm trying to figure out a way to tie golf together with my value prop, I can literally enter like, hey, Chat GPT, please write me 3 commonalities between golf and conversational AI, and put it in an email, a prospecting email, and it will spit out a pretty good email. After massaging, you can make it a really good email, but I'm going to be able to write 20 of those emails in the time that it takes someone not using it to write a couple. And so that's, to me, is what is an efficiency gainer. And so it's really important as a recruiter to know that you already have your competitors at other agencies, and even internally leveraging OpenAI, ChatGPT, other AI tools. And if you sit on the sidelines, you're going to get surpassed by folks who are already harnessing the power of AI.
Absolutely. I totally agree. ChatGPT, any specific things you've seen with this tool in staffing other than the ones that are
I think that it's just like we're very early on, and we're going to see a lot more. I've seen agencies using Chat GPT to write job descriptions. We all know that hiring managers can, scribble a job description or shoot one over email. It's not really fleshed out. How do we, can you input what you get and make it into a more prettier version of a job description that can be posted out publicly and on job boards? Recruiters with helping with resumes and cover letters for their candidates. Boolean search strings, it can also take formulas and things like that. So that's a common use case. I gave an example of sales email copy for prospecting. The same thing can be done for recruiters reaching out to candidates. And, I mentioned earlier, but Staffing Engine is actively finding ways to build GPT-4 into, for example, a Bullhorn database. And so say an applicant is out on a job board or on your website and applies for a job. We see them come in as external leads, as external applicant. We can see the candidate ID in Bullhorn. We can see the job that they applied to. We can automatically generate a fully customized candidate submittal / presentation for that candidate against that job order that needs a couple small tweaks and then is ready to be sent out to a client. Recruiters spend hours sometimes, especially in professional recruitment, building those candidate presentations, and we've got that down to not seconds quite yet, but down to minutes. I think that eventually it will be seconds. So that's just a few examples of how we're already seeing it and deploying it. And I suspect that as GPT continues to get better, so will the use cases. Like even the jump from GPT-3 to GPT-4 has been massive. And so as AI continues to get better, there's going to be some really cool use cases in the future.
Oh my God. I swear we could probably have the same conversation in just a couple months, and these answers could be.
I'm doing a presentation at Gigi, a panel on AI, and I literally was on a call with them earlier, and I said, I'm telling you right now that the use cases in September of this year are going to be even better than right now, and the talk track's going to change between now and September.
Well, make sure anyone who's watching this, go check out Matt's panel while you're there.
Absolutely. Appreciate that.
All right. So I appreciate you taking the time today. Again, maybe we'll have to schedule another one of these in a couple months just to see where things are at. But love to get the conversation started. And I'm sure anyone who's watching this and wants to reach out to Matt just to pick his brain a little bit more, you'd be happy to do that.
Yes. I'm proud to be your first guest coming back from mat leave, and looking forward to the next one.
Thanks, Matt. You're awesome.
Cool. Thanks, Brooke.